peaceful Sunday afternoon. The sky is perfectly clear. And suddenly, it starts pouring rain. Cold rain drops at your face, and your wet hair sticks to your cheeks. What do? We grab an umbrella, run inside, and sprint as if our life depends on it, because most of us don't like getting wet. It's uncomfortable. And that's exactly what we do with failure. Those umbrellas you carry, fear, perfectionism, and avoidance are ways we try to hide from discomfort. But what if I told you that the very thing you're trying to avoid is the thing you need the most? That failure isn't the problem. That escaping from it is. That idea hit me one day on a mountain at Pyeongchang Ski Resort. I'm a snowboarder and I can do some impressive tricks. There was one trick I really wanted to master, the frontside 180. It looked very simple to me. Jump, turn, and land. Easy, right? At least, that's what I thought. Since there's no snow here, I'll show you a video of myself instead. That was me, falling over and over again. Ouch. Despite attempt after attempt, I couldn't get the hang of it. When I practiced over and over, I landed, and this was my final attempt. I remember standing there at the top of the slope, my heart pounding like a drum. On my first attempt, I fell hard. Snow slammed in my face, cold and stinging. My body ached. And despite attempt after attempt, I kept failing. I felt frustrated. I felt exhausted. I felt embarrassed. And I remember standing there at the top of the slope, thinking, what if I can't do this? What if I look stupid? At some point, I even considered quitting. Just pick up my snowboard and stick to the easy moves. No falling, no embarrassment, no pressure. And to be honest, that's what most of us do. We stick to what we know. We stick to what we know, what we won't get wrong. But then I ask myself, if I stop now, what's next? I won't be able to do the frontside 180 and stay exactly where I was. But if I kept going, despite the pressure and the falls, I would eventually land it, and I can call myself a snowboarder and master even harder tricks. So I kept trying. I stopped worrying about how others looked at me or getting perfect the first time. Instead, I focused on fixing one thing at a time. My timing, my balance, my takeoff. And that's when things started unfolding. Every time I fell, I noticed something new. Maybe my balance was wrong. Maybe I jumped too early. Maybe I didn't rotate enough. Little by little, failure started to teach me. The tricks didn't change. The slope didn't change. The only thing that changed was me, specifically what I chose to pay attention to. And eventually, after many falls and small, careful adjustments, something changed. I wasn't worrying about my friends or about falling. I was just present. I bent my knees, felt the board beneath me, and trusted myself. I landed. And in that moment, excitement wasn't the only thing I was feeling. It was relief. I was relieved that my land had proof every fall had meant something. And that's when I realized something important. I didn't succeed despite failure. I succeeded because of failure. But here's the problem. Most of us don't give ourselves that chance. In fact, we have opportunities to fail every day, but we throw them away. When we run away from failure, we're not just avoiding the rain. We're avoiding learning. We stop trying new things. We choose what feels safe instead of what helps us grow. Over time, this builds into a habit of fear. And that just doesn't affect us on the mountain or in school. It affects our confidence, the risks we take, and our future opportunities. According to Professor David Conroy of Penn State, fear of failure is not just a simple feeling. Instead, it can be connected to multiple fears like shame, embarrassment, and doubt. Because of this, we may overthink and avoid challenging situations, which may feel safer in the short run, but can have a negative impact on the long run. It can lead to limited learning, lower confidence, and missed future opportunities. Think about someone who has a great idea in class but remains silent, not because the idea isn't good, but because they're afraid to be judged. Or someone who doesn't apply for a job or an audition because they're afraid of getting rejected. That's the fear of failure quietly making the decisions for us. And these decisions are not protecting us, but rather limiting us. In other words, my experience on that slope is not uniquely mine. It's the story of many of us who found ourselves in this cycle of fear. Honestly, the hardest part wasn't the fall. It was the fear in my head. I was practicing with friends who were better than I was, and I kept thinking, what if they laugh at me? What if they make fun of me? What if I don't fit in? What if... These thoughts took over my mind, and it made me focus on being perfect. Because of that, I kept failing. Not because I couldn't do it, but because I couldn't focus on what actually mattered. But then, something unexpected happened. I looked around. Nobody laughed. Nobody judged me. In fact, most people didn't care about my mistakes at all. And in that moment, everything became clear. Most of the pressure we feel doesn't come from us. Because that doesn't come from other people. It comes from us. Think about what happens after it rains. Have you ever noticed how the air feels fresher and cleaner after it rains? There's actually a scientific reason for that. It's because the rain helps remove dust particles from the air and clears the sky. And failure works the same way for our minds. Think of it as mind rain. Just like real rain washes dust out of the air, failure washes fear and doubt out of our thoughts. It clears our minds and helps us focus on what really matters, learning and improving. Think about it. Many students our age are trying to be perfect and are still afraid of failure. They think, what if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I can't do it? These thoughts fill our minds with noise. But failure, this mind rain, helps clear our minds. It helps us focus on getting better and less on being perfect. As J.K. Rowling said in her Harvard commencement speech, failure meant stripping away of the inessential. So many of us try to spend our lives avoiding the rain. We want everything to be a clear blue sky. But experiences tell us otherwise. It says, no rain, no failure, no growth. If we want those green grasses, mighty trees, and success, we have to be willing to step into the storm. So let's stop hiding underneath our umbrellas and step into that downpour and get messy. So I want to ask you this question. What is one thing, not a rhetorical one, but a question I want you to sincerely ask yourself? What is one thing you have been avoiding because you're so afraid to fail? Because that thing, precisely that thing, could be the first step of our growth. Because sometimes, the only way to succeed is to get a little wet first. And after the rain, a rainbow will be waiting. Thank you.